If you work for the Department of Energy or one of its contractors at over 300 sites around the United States, and you have come down with a serious medical condition, you may qualify for free lifetime medical care and financial compensation provided by the federal government. And that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So let's get to it. Welcome to the California Transitions channel. I'm Rich Fleming, and we are here to help you navigate some of the most challenging transitions in life. And today we are here with Laura Welsh, and we are here to talk about the EEOICPA program. Did I get that right, Laura?
Yes, you did.
Good. So this is a program that is specifically designed for former employees, and I believe contractors who work at specific Department of Energy facilities throughout the country. Laura is an expert in this program, and we're really going to talk about who it covers, why it came into existence, and what services it provides. So, Laura, let's just start out with who is this program. First of all, just tell us a little bit about the program and who is it's designed to service.
Sure. The EEOICPA is the Energy Employees Occupational Illness Compensation Act. It was written into law in the year 2000, and it covers those men and women who were either employees or contractors of the nation's nuclear defense program, specifically the Department of Energy designated sites throughout the country. There's over 330 sites throughout the country. Here in the Bay Area, we have Lawrence Livermore Lab, Sandia Lab, Lawrence Berkeley Lab, the Stanford Linear Accelerator. GE Valocitos was designated as an atomic weapons employer at one time, so they're covered. And there's a whole host in Southern California, General Atomics, Rocketdyne, Santa Susana, Field Lab number 4. And then there's tons of places throughout the country. Anywhere that they made a component for nuclear weapons generally is covered. And the employees, the reason why this act came into being is the employees there were they're exposed to toxic chemicals and radiation. And so they started getting illnesses later on in life because the latency of the illnesses comes 10, 20, 30 years later. And all of a sudden, all these people who worked in this kind of the same industry were getting cancers or respiratory illnesses of the same ilk. So congressmen got together, drafted a bill. I think Bill Clinton signed it in 2000 for radiogenic cancers. And then another bill was drafted and signed in 2004 for toxic chemical exposure. So that's how it came to be in a nutshell.
So, so if I'm understanding in my conversations with you previously, there are essentially 3 aspects of eligibility, and you correct me if I'm wrong. 1, had to be an employee or contractor of the DOE at one of these sites. 2, you had to essentially be diagnosed with an illness. And the 3rd aspect was that illness primarily one of the types of illnesses that were covered. So in my little reading on this subject, there's no definitive list, but there's certain illnesses that are far more likely to be approved than others. Is that correct? Or
that's generally correct. You have to have a verifiable illness. You had to have been exposed either to radiation or toxic chemical known to cause that illness. And you had to have been an employee or a contractor of a DOE site, a Department of Energy site, an AWE site, atomic weapons employer, or uranium miller or miner in the mines. So
Okay, good.
you got it on your first try.
Not bad for a novice, huh?
Yep.
And let's talk about what are the benefits that come with participating in or receiving benefits from this, and how they coordinate with, say, Medicare or things like that. Do they, or private insurance or things like that?
Sure. Once somebody has an illness, radiogenic cancers are generally the easiest to prove. There's certain sites throughout the country that have what's called a special cohort date, meaning that if they worked for at least a year during these special dates and they have a proven radiogenic cancer that's one of 22 cancers, generally the large organs of the body, they're almost automatically approved. So those are the easy ones. So any sort of, just think from brain to bladder and all of the internal organs, including blood, that might have cancer in it. Prostate cancer for men, harder to prove, so it's not on that list. Same with uterine cancer for women, not on that list. But anything else would be covered. Respiratory diseases take a little more time, but they are also very, very common, especially for the men and women who worked near or with asbestos or silica dust at the Nevada test sites. A lot of respiratory illnesses there. Parkinson's disease. We're getting a lot of Parkinson's disease lately, and it's a little easier to be approved because the known toxins list has expanded. So don't be afraid. If you think you have a disease or an illness that may have been caused, give me a call or give your local rep a call, and we can help guide you through it. When somebody files a claim for an illness, if it's approved, then the Department of Labor, who manages this program, becomes the primary payer source for that illness. So let's say somebody has lung cancer, anything related to lung cancer can be paid for by their benefit through the Department of Labor. So in that respect, they don't have to use Medicare for that. They can use Medicare for something else. And everything to do with the lungs can be done by Department of Labor.
Oh, okay. So this is not a part of Medicare. Just to be clear, this is a specific benefit for those employees and contractors at the sites that you mentioned earlier. So it really doesn't impact your benefits.
It really doesn't. It enhances rather than takes away from benefits.
Substitutes or anything else like that.
Yeah, we also are able, if somebody has something covered under Medicare, and let's say they need home health care, Medicare's kind of like for a finite amount of time. So they either have to show that they're getting better, or Medicare will go away, or it won't go away. It will stop paying for that home health care. This benefit recognizes these illnesses are chronic and long-term, so you can potentially have home health care for the rest of your life, paid for 100% by the Department of Labor for those covered conditions.
So let's talk about, first of all, I guess I was, when I first met you and we were first talking about this, I was blown away. I did not know that this benefit existed for people who, essentially served our country, working on the nuclear facilities. And if I recall correctly, there's an estimate that there's somewhere around 600,000 people who may potentially participate in this, or do you know what the pool is?
I don't know off the top of my head, but if you take into consideration, the Manhattan Project started around 1942, at least in this area it did, 1939, 1942. To present day, that's a lot of workers.
Yeah.
In over 300 sites throughout the country, plus laborers and contractors who were in and out of those sites that might potentially be eligible. And I forgot to tell you about one of the best things. It comes with a monetary settlement too, a
Oh, okay.
tax-free monetary settlement. So for radiogenic cancers or beryllium disease or chronic silicosis, an approved claim gives that claimant $150,000 tax-free. And
Oh,
then
okay.
the
Wow.
second part of the act gives them up to $250,000 more for bodily impairment or wage loss. And there's also a survivor's component. So if the claimant has passed away, potential survivors include their spouse, their children, minors under the age of, I think it's 25 if they're incapable of self-care. So there's money involved as well, and it's all tax-free because it's a workplace illness.
Yeah, this, you know, I was just so blown away because I hate to be skeptical, but I'm going to be a little bit. This is really a case of the government, in my view, doing right by the people who, you know, served and have unintentionally exposed themselves to, you know, chemicals and substances that may cause illnesses. So I was really glad to learn about this when I met you and start talking to you about this. So let's talk a little bit about what your company, Nuclear Care Partners, does. What's your role in all of this? So let's just start with what you do, what your company does.
Nuclear Care Partners is primarily a nursing company, and we were founded by 2 nurses in 2011 to provide care for this population of people only. So only people with this benefit can use our services. So we don't do Medicare in-home health. We don't do Medicaid in-home health. We only take the energy employees occupational illness, what they call the white card. When somebody is approved, they get a little white card. It's a little benefit card. So we're a nursing company. We also help guide folks into filing their claims. We work with a network of independent authorized representatives who can help file claims for them. The authorized representatives are not part of our organization. They're independent, and they can charge from 2 to 10% of the settlement that the patient or the claimant gets. If they get no settlement, they don't have to pay. And also there's ways to self-file, and we can work with them to file their own paperwork if they don't want to use an authorized representative. So we work from the very beginning to the claim until they get approved. Once they get approved, if they'd like to sign up for in-home health care, if they qualify, then we'll work through that with them. And our network of nurses who are all employees of ours, we don't use contractors, can help them in their home up to 24 hours a day if it's warranted.
Wow, okay. So that's like a super useful service, because in my view, anytime you have to apply to the government for anything, you check one box wrong or don't phrase something right, and you can go into bureaucratic limbo. So it's good that you have, you know, contacts to the sources or can point people in the right direction to go through this process, because I'm sure it's, you know, more than a 4-line document that you have to submit to qualify for this. So
it's so true about government kind of throwing you into limbo sometimes. And you know, we have to remember most of these claimants are elderly, and so if it's daunting for me to look at a form and figure out which box to check, you know, think of somebody who's maybe memory impaired or just isn't used to the ways of the world, doesn't have a smartphone or doesn't have a computer to look things up. filling out a form can be daunting for them. So we're happy to help them. We get no remuneration for the help that we give them in filing their claims. Nothing comes back to us. The only time we get paid is if they decide they want to have home health care and want us to be their provider. So that's the only time we get paid.
So in providing the home health care services through your nurses and, associated staff, are you also providing essentially care management, case management type of services to make sure that, hey, their entire care, related to their illness is being taken care of? Help coordinate doctor's appointments, things like that, or?
You're exactly right.
Okay.
Part of this benefit not only includes home health care, but any medical necessity for that covered illness, including medical equipment, doctor's appointments, ancillary services. And we have case managers to help coordinate that. We work with a network of durable medical equipment folks that understand how to bill correctly, because you'll find a lot of doctors don't understand this particular benefit, because on the card, it'll say workers' compensation, which is true, but it's an illness,
very
it's
specific.
not an injury. So doctors who aren't, I spend a lot of time talking to doctors about the difference between an injury compensation and an illness compensation. They think they're going to be in court all the time because it's an injury. It's like, no. This is settled law. They don't have to do anything but certify that they approve of whatever the basic need is for the patient. So it's the patient gets a lot of benefits paid for, from air purifiers if they have a respiratory illness, to one of those tilty chairs, catapult chairs.
Oh yeah.
If they can't get up out of their chair, and anything in between.
Okay.
Home modifications sometimes too.
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is such a great program for those who served through the Department of Energy. I guess let me wrap it up with anything else you would like to share, and any contact information, or how should people contact you. Whatever you want us to do, we'll put it in the description below so people can, contact you directly. But anything you want to close with, share with people out there about this service, and anything else that we haven't covered.
Sure. Anybody who's interested in learning more can call me directly, especially if you're in California. Direct line is 209-597-0887. And our home office in Colorado, their toll-free number is 888-525-5111. Really easy number to remember. Give us a call. We're happy to help you muddle through all of the ins and outs. It's not as hard as it looks. It's not as daunting as it looks. And with our help and with an authorized representative's help, you're sure to get really good care and hopefully get an approved claim and get a little money and a little care for all of the work that you did in keeping our nation safe.
Yeah, great. So I will put that contact information below. I will also put your corporate website link below so people can take a look at that in the video description. I want to thank Laura for agreeing to do this and sharing a little bit about it, because I think it's a very important service. There are potentially hundreds of thousands of people who could qualify for this when they come down with illnesses. So it's very important to know. If you've got any questions about anything we talked about in this video, or anything related to elder transitions, that's what we're here for. And we'll catch you in the next video.
Thanks, Rich.
Thanks.